They were getting money out of this estate tax, and now they're not going to get it anymore. It was buffeting their budgets, basically. That's money that went for jobs for police and fire and roads and bridges, and all that stuff's gone. No more jobs there, right?
It's a shame. We could have used that money here.
Lastly, they got rid of the, I don't know if you know this, but this is the 5th year of the phase out of the income tax from 2006. Governor Strickland last year stopped that phase out. We kept it in place. I should tell you that the income tax is a tax that is proportional. So the more income you make, the higher percentage of tax you pay. When you get rid of the income tax or diminish it, which they've done over 21% over a 5-year period, 6-year period now, the greatest benefactors of that are the folks who make more money, because that percentage of tax attaches itself to a higher income. So if you're making $200,000, I think it's $250,000 and above, you're going to average around $2,000 to $3,000 a year in a tax break. If you're making what people make in my district, which is around $31,000 to $48,000 a year, they're going to get $35 a year in a tax this year in the tax break. So you measure that, $2,000 to $3,000 versus $35. You can tell where this, the politics of what's going on down in Columbus are right now. So I've worked, kind of being frustrated and batting our heads against the wall, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff I could go into. They're giving handouts to David Brennan right and left, from White Hat Management. They're doing this very anti-environmental stuff. They're allowing drilling in state parks now, and even potentially under Lake Erie. You get guns in bars. Now you can take your...
That's a bad idea.
It's an awful one.
Shoot somebody.
In my district on Lorraine Avenue, just on one portion of Lorraine Avenue, on 117th, 175th, I've got 32 bars, right? So, and most of them are good, family,
How many friends you got in 32 bars?
You can take... You can take your kids to there. You can take your family and have lunch and dinner and stuff like that. A bunch of them are punch palaces, right? Kind of the lowest common denominator where I'd be scared to go with if I've got a gun, because a fight's going to break out. So that's kind of the dynamics in the environment we've been dealing with, that Zach and I have been dealing with over the last 6 months. Part of it, so what some of us have kind of said is that, look, we're in an economic catastrophe, and I think it was very well, kind of delineated by folks who spoke ahead before me. Unemployment rates are going through the roof. Our unemployment rate went up statewide, went up this last month for the first time in 15 months, even though it was like 8.8%, and now it's up to 9.2, something like that. It's a disaster, right? We've got a governor in the General Assembly, Republican General Assembly, whose ideas around jobs are that we're going to give tax breaks to rich people and hope it trickles down. Although we're not going to make them create jobs, we just hope it happens, right? So like some magic, voodoo magic. So we decided we'd come up with our own jobs bill, right? And a bunch of us got together, Nikki Antonio and I, who's a state rep from Cleveland. We drive up and back down to Cleveland down to Columbus every once in a while. So we're driving back from Columbus one day, and we're thinking, geez, this is crazy. Let's put our own jobs bill together. And we started brainstorming, and we said, well, what's the best jobs bill we've ever had in this country? And we looked at the WPA, right, which you talked about, the Works Progress Administration from the 1930s. And so we said, well, let's put together an Ohio WPA, Ohio Works Progress Administration, that would create actual jobs, that the government would create actual jobs doing things that are in our best interest, our community's interest.
They're supposed to work for us.
So we would make sure that there's at least 50 jobs in each county, right? This is paying at least $27,500. And I wish we could do this more, but we were trying to take advantage of what we thought was going to be some revenue that's going to be available in this next General Assembly. The governor, by the way, when they put the budget together, they totally cooked the numbers when they were talking about what our deficits were going to be and how much money we're going to have in the future. And this is all very political, because they want to be able to say when he runs for re-election that the economy jumped when I came back in the office, when Republicans came into office. So they've cooked the numbers. There's much more money in our budget than what they're saying. So we're going to come out we're going to come out of this. Our new budget starts July 1st, and it'll go forward for 2 years. And there's going to be more money there than what they're anticipating. Now, what the governor's talking about doing is putting that back into more tax cuts, right? He wants to give more tax cuts to basically wealthy people. Right? I and a whole bunch of other people, Zach included, think that's a crazy idea. So we need to we absolutely need to put people to work. And so when we created this legislation, and I hear what you're saying about minority participation, and we certainly will, as this bill kind of floats through and kind of gets readjusted and worked on, that's something we certainly will take into consideration. I agree with you. And for too long, there's been a lot of problems in terms of minority participation, and you're exactly right. I do want to say that it does not allow for discrimination against felons, by the way. So we explicitly say in the bill that you cannot discriminate against someone who's had a felony in their past. Right? But basically, we'd say at least 50 jobs in each county doing stuff like stream cleanup and weatherization, and at least 2, we got this from the WPA, but at least having 2 people in each county who do public art, right? So you've seen these great murals that were created in some places, and great sculptures and statues. Those are created by the WPA and kind of offshoots like that, that were public art funded by government, basically, and tax dollars to do public art that was help uplift the spirits of the people. That folks would do, as we talked about, weatherization, stream cleanup, doing just kind of basic stuff that we need to do that, to clean up our communities. Weatherization of homes in places like Akron is really important. We're in a cold environment. Heating bills are going through the roof. We need to do as much as possible to diminish the amount of energy that we're losing and out of our homes. And we can have people out of programs like this do that, right? So that's the impetus for what we think, is a real jobs bill. The governor's got this thing called Jobs Ohio. Well, we've got our bill is called Real Jobs Ohio, right? And we think it makes sense.
Mike, I like you. You're a nice guy.
The private sector right now, look, this whole thing about, the Republicans now are saying that the private sector, we need to get splash money at the top because the private sector are the jobs creators in this economy. And should be the jobs creators in this economy. Well, they're not doing it, right? They're absolutely not doing it. The banks who we saved from going into extinction are sitting on $1.9 trillion of wealth that they are just sitting on and not lending out to companies and new jobs and new investments in this country. If the private sector and the private economy is not going to do it, then it seems to me that the government's got to do it, and the state's got to do it, and that's what this program does. I wish I could tell you that we were going to create more than 5,000 jobs throughout the state. This would cost about $400 million, and we think the money's there and will be there. I mean, I would like to double that and create 10,000 jobs or 20,000 jobs. But at least right now we know this is the money that potentially will be available. We're going to try to take good care of. Now, I should say this is an idea, right? And this is legislation that's been drafted and dropped, and hopefully get hearings when we come back into session in September. But as Zach will tell you, we don't control the agenda. Republicans control the agenda right now. And so sometimes what we do is just, if nothing else, we put ideas out, we put legislation out there to counteract, at least in the media and in the larger kind of political sphere, what should be rather than what is on the other side. So part of this is a message bill. We're going to fight like hell to try to get it enacted because we think money's there, and especially if the governor's talking about giving tax cuts to people, that makes absolutely no sense. And this is stuff that the governor should be putting money into, and the state of Ohio should be putting money into. So I'll stop there. I should say real quick, so I've been in the legislature 5.5 years now, and Zach is the new state rep from Akron. He's doing a great job, by the way. It's tough being a freshman. It's tough being a freshman, and especially in this environment, because it really is a Republican-dominated body. But Zach's doing a great job.
Well, I want to introduce Zach because usually I'm speaking at one of his functions, and I'm always the honorable this, that, or the other. So today, I have the privilege privilege of saying my friend, the Honorable Zach Goodrich, State Representative from District 45.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it.